Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to cover some finishing aspects to some of the handles of the Handle Maker series. Uh, Specifically, my approach to finishing off palm swells. Stay with me. So you can see I have a couple different handles and finished axes here on the bench today. Specifically, I am finishing up a Matilda model with a beautiful Tasmanian pattern head here. And I have a beautiful Forester on an original sweet gum handle. I have a competition racing handle, which was kind of the inspiration for Matilda, and I can get into that in a second. I have a nice curvy True Temper handle, and then I have Edith also, which is the other handle that's available in the store. All right, all these palm swells, what am I supposed to do with them all, right? How am I supposed to finish? You can see this is the Matilda, and it's really modeled after this. I use this handle actually as a template as well as this handle, and you can see within Matilda, because I have this extra large palm swell, all of these options kind of exist within it. And it's kind of up to you to finish off and to complete it how you see fit. It doesn't really matter. A lot of this is stylistic. You know, you have something like a traditional fawn's foot. Here you have Edith that, you know, it has the setting knob on it. But this is really meant, you know, even though this has like a curve to it, you can still do this straight cut, just like this traditional fawn's foot. If you want to make this a rounded bottom, you can. And it's really up to you. I made a lot of ugly palm swells, you know, starting off my handle shaping. But honestly, every single axe that I did, maybe an ugly one too, still worked just fine. You know, we work towards aesthetics. We work towards something maybe that is a little bit more classic, like a fawn's foot. It's good to know and master this, and then start stretching out on your own to figure out what you may like, what your customers may like, and what works for you, just period. On this Matilda here, what I'm going to do is kind of borrow a little bit from this Forester. And really what I want to do is just have a slightest curve to a flat spot. Unlike this one, this is kind of narrow. I actually don't, you know, as beautiful and cool and original stock as this is, and especially the sweet gum is really, really nice. I don't love that palm swell. It's kind of a little narrow. It doesn't really have like a nice positive stop to it like I prefer. But I do like this kind of just subtle curve to it here. And so specifically, I'm going to borrow probably this curve here, probably starting even up higher. Then I can cut down to this kind of flat spot. Because I still want to have this axe to be serviceable. You can see where this has kind of been bashed in at some point to remount this. And it didn't have the flat spot to work on. So the basic tools I'll use is my most commonly used tool is going to be my two-sided rasp. I've had this for probably it's got to be a good 4 years now, and this does the bulk of my shaping because it has two sides. We're able, you know, there's a rough side and a softer side. For my finishes and tighter turns and stuff, I rely heavily on these micro files or razor files, the curved and the straight. I really love the curved one. The curved one has a pull motion, and the straight has a push motion. That really makes up the bulk of what I use on most projects. All right, so I used a bandsaw to kind of get me started with the finish I want here. You can see I kind of traced along, had to do it in a couple cuts. But before I cut off this bottom here, I'm just going to start shaping it. And what I'll do is I'll time lapse it so it's not going to, you know, spend a ton of time watching me do something
Unfortunately, the time lapse was a little too quick.
So we just finished shaping the rear here, and you can see this is a stock handle. This is before we cut this curve in, and so we just soften that just a hair, and then of course we'll chamfer that, cut that short of the tooling marks there. But now we're going to do the front side. You can see they kind of sort of match up. We're going to narrow this, and this is all to get a better purchase on the front. All right, so I got this mostly shaped up how I want it. I trimmed the bottom here, and what I noticed is I just want to take a little bit into here, kind of, maybe not that much, but that's sort of around where I'm going. And I'm just going to dig in a little bit just to give me that purchase right there. I just want that to come in a little bit more for personal preference. And then we're going to finish this up with a little orbital sander. I'm going to put some chamfers on that, and yeah, we'll be good to go.
I'm sorry about the earlier time-lapse video kind of malfunction there, but the earlier stuff, if you can kind of get the concept that the early rasp stuff, I'm kind of pulling down and I'm kind of melting the handle down towards me, where when I'm doing these finishes, I'm actually kind of pushing up and cutting into the handle a little bit more and kind of addressing a little bit more of that taper. But yeah, this is a little bit longer.
So you can see I already set kind of some of the chamfers right there, and I'm going to continue this all the way around. We do this when we finish it off because if your handle's ever tipped over or dropped, it's less likely, if it has like a sharp edge to it, it's less likely to split and chip off. And so, and it's also a nice finish. Also, is going to be smoother on your hands and not cut in like these bottom edges.
I really like setting these by hand. These are all going to be cleaned up with my orbital sander, but I at least get the angle and it's a little bit more consistent. With the sander, sometimes it bites in a little too much, but this kind of gives me something to push up against. So these will all get cleaned up with the sander.
All right, so I think we got this far enough as far as shaped up now. We can see we softened that front, ovalized that rear, and we have a really nice purchase because we came in a little bit on the inside there. But next, I'm going to take it to the orbital sander. You don't need to see a video of me orbital sanding this. It's kind of self-explanatory. If you don't have that, then you're going to go to obviously hand sandpaper, or some people might even have a belt grinder. If they have that available, that's a nice way to kind of start it. I'm going to start with like 100 grit, move up to a 200, maybe finish with 300 by hand, but we'll see. And then I'll come back and we'll kind of compare. All right, so we got our inspiration. We got what we finished and where we started. So you can see, yeah, I mean, we talked through it. Unfortunately, the time lapse didn't capture great, but you can kind of see what I did here on the sides. Yeah, it wasn't major. Now I've just knocked the sides, or just put chamfers on these edges, and it's good to go. But you can do lots of stuff. You just got to noodle yourself and just kind of figure out. You can do a fawn's foot here still. A lot is still within this handle. It's why I used 8/4. You can explore. There's so much to be done here. I'm actually kind of excited to see what people do. Hell, give me ideas as well. But one of the best things to do is grab something you like. Some sort of old vintage handle and go from there. All right, I hope you enjoyed the exploration of palm swells. These two handles are available. It's why I'm making some of these series here. This is Matilda, this is Edith. These are two replicas of handmade handles that I have reproduced and are available for you to mount your own axe. I'm going to continue to make some of these kind of smaller videos about different sections of this. Eventually, I'll probably make like a more polished long form of the complete process, but I'm just kind of addressing some of the smaller, finishes to these for folks to get started and to have some sort of direction and to kind of explore what I want to do as far as the message there. But yeah, go to the website, pick up one of these, get yourself an axe, start mounting. I hope you learned something. Take care.
Be a f***ing man. Make your own axe.